Hey everyone, this is Grant from Spectre Racing. So it's summertime, it's way too hot to be racing. The car now is on its jack stands, natural habitat. We have a new goal, a new project for the fall, goal 117. So what is that? Let's get into it. So goal 117. The Mustang here on the channel you've seen over the last 7 years has become more of just a fun project car that I just like to tinker with and try and make faster and just kind of generally mess around with. It is also kind of a dedicated SCCA street mod car. It's fairly competitive, although over the years the newer technology has kind of taken over, and the car is having trouble competing with new SLA style suspension like the Camaro ZL11LE. Anyway, to get to the point, I have done a lot of these track days over the years, not just autocrosses. I haven't really recorded my times or tried to get a good, decent time at any of these tracks. So we're going to change that. We're going to go to the Florida International Rally Motorsports Park and try and set a lap time of 1 minute and 17 seconds. So why that time? Well, first, the car's number is 117, after the Master Chief in Halo, because I'm a nerd. The first video on this channel is actually a Halo mod I made back in high school. So I like Master Chief, and so the 1 minute 17 seconds also happens to be, I think, a pretty good goal for this car. So by comparison, here you can see on the list a very good driver with a Camaro ZL11LE, which is fairly comparable to this car, if not. I mean, it's better, honestly. I hate to admit it, but it's better. It's on a little bit skinnier tires, but it has SLA style suspension, modern computers and all those kinds of things. This car is 12 years old now. So a very good driver, did a 114 at the firm. So that's about 3 seconds faster. He was on Continentals. Like I said, very good driver. Comparable power to this car, probably not as much heat soak, which is what we're going to work on. And so by comparison, a few people on the channel here, like Ash and his BMW and his Porsche 911, have gotten around a 1 minute 20 in both of his cars. Those cars are actually a little bit older than this car, so they're a bit more comparable. And as you saw recently in the video with Michael and his newer BMW M3 CS, he got a 1 minute 20 on kind of, very street tires and not having tracked in a while. So that is actually very impressive for the car's power level. Now it does have the, PlayStation driving modes, which help. And he was saying he wasn't very confident in his brakes. So by comparison, you can see here on this list some other times at the firm. I think a comparable time is probably like a 2015 Mustang Performance Pack has done a 118, so I think that's a fairly good comparison. The original goal of this car, way back when I bought it, was to not spend more than a brand new Shelby at the time. So a brand new Shelby in 2008, 2009, was probably 60 grand. I got this car for 18. I probably put 40 into it. It's kind of hard to count because a lot of the stuff is consumables. So I would say it's probably, I probably put about 30 or 40 into it. So it's fairly comparable. It is definitely faster than a 2009 Shelby GT500. So I think that goal is achieved, but we're going to try and achieve this goal of the time at the firm. So how are we going to achieve that time? Well, I think first and foremost, the most important thing you can do is maintenance. Yeah, maintenance. No, it's seat time. It's seat time is the most important thing. Don't listen to me on this, buying this or that. Yeah, it might make you faster, but the thing that's going to make you the fastest is practice. Practice, practice, practice. So I have been doing that with our team chump car, the Volkswagen GTI. Now, unfortunately, it is a lot different, but it's much more cost effective to race that car than this car. I don't have to insure the GTI. It's only, if I do a co-driver day with Ash, $80. Every time I go out there with this thing, it's going to be $200, $200 to $250 for the track fee, and then another $200 to $300 for the insurance. So you can see why I track the the Volkswagen a lot more than this car. So, but I have been out at the firm many times in this car. Not actually in the dry in this configuration. Every time I've gone out there with the wide tires, it seemed to have rained. But, so it's going to be interesting to see what the car can do. But, so some of the things we're going to focus on this summer, obviously the second on the list is maintenance. There's just some stuff I got to do. Plugs and stuff. I run booster in this thing, so plugs are kind of consumable. We got to do the sway bar bushings. It has completely broke. 100 plus autocrosses have just destroyed the sway bar bushings. We're rebuilding those. But maintenance, you know, I'm not really going to cover that in a video. Just, you know, if you track your car a lot, you're going to have to replace a lot of this stuff. And what I like to do is I like to replace a lot of things before they actually break. So I have battle spares in case I'm halfway across the country and something breaks, I have a backup. So the videos I am going to focus on over the summer are some of the more unique things to this car and to car modifications in general. So we're going to focus on cooling for this car. So the first thing we're going to do is actually very controversial in the Mustang community, is we're going to swap out the heat exchanger pump. So the heat exchanger pump I have is a factory GT500 pump from 2008 or 2007. It's a Bosch pump. It is configured to run with the smaller heat exchanger, which I don't have. I have the much larger heat exchanger. So there's always this debate on, does flow rate help exchange heat with superchargers? Now, I have been in talking to the Department of Boost, not a government organization, although that'd be pretty cool if they were. They sell a lot of 3-valve specific things, and they focus a lot on cooling with superchargers and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to be pitting for them at Grid Life Colorado this fall, so make sure to check out that video. So in talking to them, they are, you know, there's a really good write-up by the engineer there about how it's effective. I encourage you to check that out if you have a similar car, or even, you know, are looking into your car if you don't have a Mustang. So that will increase the flow rate by 30% and will kind of match the, you know, the heat exchanger size. So being that I'm going to have to dump all that fluid, it's going to be a huge pain in the butt. I'm also going to relocate the supercharger bottle. So the supercharger bottle on this car sits right on top of the fan. I now have those hood vents. So now that I'm going to relocate the bottle, I might as well actually just toss it away. I'm going to buy a small ice tank. So generally you don't, the ice tank is actually against the rules in SCCA, but as long as you don't fill it with ice, it doesn't really matter. So that's going to go in the place of the battery, which battery is relocated in the trunk. So the main advantage of this, if I'm not using ice, is just going to increase the amount of volume in the system. The supercharger essentially acts as a heater, and it heats up the fluid. There's more fluid, it'll just take longer to heat it all up. So lastly, the next thing we're going to focus on is tires. So this is actually relatively easy. I'm going to get a set of R888Rs, mainly because they're a good middle ground tire from Street or Slick. One of the things I didn't want to do is have to buy 2 sets of tires again. That I generally just use one. The problem is, I buy 2 sets of tires. It's like $4,000 worth of tires. So the R888R is a 100 tread wear, which means it's essentially useless in competitive autocross, which I'm not sure I really care enough about anymore, but it's still a DOT tire. I can still drive it on the street, and it's going to be great at these non-competitive track days. So if I want to go to autocross, it'll still be pretty competitive. Won't be as good as a Hoosier A7, but it's a good middle ground tire that I can use and just have fun, and I can actually set a decent lap time. So that's it for this intro video to the summer series. Be sure to check out the next videos on doing the install for the supercharger stuff and all the cooling, and some of the finished video when we get it all together and getting ready to race for the summer. Probably going to shoot for testing the new setups at the August night event at Amelia Island Airport. So that'll be a good, because we do a late in the day run and then a night event, so we can kind of see the temperature differences there. And then with the ultimate goal of probably going to the firm sometime in September or October to do the actual test. So that's it. Thanks for watching.